Welcome back, viewers. As promised, I have joined with me all the way from Australia, Sophia Emberson-Bain. Well, in addition to her role in the recent Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire movie, Sophia's talent has been showcased in an array of acclaimed productions, including NBC's Joe vs. Carol, Harrow, Darby and Joan, Aquaman, and Foxtel's critically acclaimed series, The End. Notably, her performance in Burumbi Kids on Netflix garnered widespread acclaim, with the show being honored as Children's Production of the Year at the 2023 Australian Screen Producers Award. Welcome, Sophia, to Tweet for Media. And I want to thank you so much for taking your time, taking time out of your busy schedule, because I do know it's almost perhaps midnight there in Australia.
It is. I just finished a show. I'm doing a show right now, a theater show. And we just finished probably around 10 o'clock at nighttime and came straight
Wow.
here to talk to you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that so much. It obviously shows that you're still in tune with the BVI population, and you're still obviously eager to spread your knowledge and just keep us informed on what is going on in your life. So I just want to start with you in terms of your journey. BVI born, raised, going abroad, pursuing this dream of becoming an actor. Can you share with us your journey into the film industry, particularly how it all started for you?
Well, I think my mum would probably say it all started when I was really young and I did a poem called The Pink Flamingo, and I wanted everyone to watch me perform it. but but I would probably say it started when I was in high school. I thought that I wanted to be an actor, and then I did an acting degree. And my parents also wanted me to do a law degree. So I did a law degree as well. And so when I wasn't kind of getting acting jobs, which in the beginning of your career and throughout your career can be sometimes very difficult to get, I was studying law, and then I started practicing a bit of law, and juggling the two worlds of acting and law at the same time.
Okay, interesting. And may I ask this question as well, because we do know how parents tend to want to push careers as lawyer, doctor, etc. And then you obviously choosing to pursue more seriously your career in acting. What were the talks like between your parents and yourself at that critical juncture in your life?
Oh, look, I think they were very pleased that I had finished my law degree. So that was a plus for me. Um, and after I finished my law degree, I actually booked a theater job fairly shortly after that. So it was also easy to have the conversation of I'd like to be an actor, because I had a job at the time. And then I decided I wanted to go to LA. So after I finished that theater job, which was probably only about 2 months, I then went to LA and I lived in LA for about 10 months. And I got myself an agent out there, which was not easy to get because everyone out there is an actor. Um, and I got myself an agent. So again, they were proud of me for that, and they've been so supportive. They came out and they helped me find an apartment, and they helped me, get a car, and they helped me get a driver's license, and all of those, set up a bank account, like all of the difficult things admin wise that you have to do. And then after 10 months, I just realized I wasn't really happy in LA. It just wasn't my city, and like I was struggling with my mental health. It was just not a good environment for me to be in. So I decided that I would go back to Australia, which is where I had studied as an actor and had also done my law degree. So I went back to Australia and I continued to work, I guess, as a lawyer. And then I was auditioning all the time. And then when I booked jobs, I'd kind of quit my law job and be like, bye, see you later. I'm going to be an actor now.
Interesting. And I want to ask too, because you spoke about something very critical there, Jason, that I caught. You know, you did say you moved to the land of what some actresses and actors would say is land of opportunity in LA, you know, when it comes to acting. And, you know, after 10 months, you realize, well, this may not be the place for me. I'm sure that obviously was a very difficult decision. What would have kept you inspired even when you went back to Australia? Because I'm sure you're probably at that particular point thinking, well, if I'm here in LA and these opportunities aren't occurring, moving all the way to the next side of the world, you know, it perhaps probably decreases those possibilities of, you know, aspiring to be a big star in one of the big upcoming movies. It kind of like minimizes that opportunity window for yourself. I'm sure you probably would have been thinking at that time. So what would have kept you motivated to think and to, you know, keep on going even on the other side of the world?
Well, I knew I was passionate about acting. So I guess it wasn't a matter of I wasn't going to do it. It was just a matter of where am I happy doing it and where am I happy pursuing that sort of line of work. Um, and so coming back to Australia, I didn't think that things were going to dry up because there's films made in Australia, there's films made in England, there's films made, all over the world. Godzilla and Kong that I'm in now that you mentioned before, that was filmed in Australia. Aquaman that I was in was filmed in Australia. So, there's big budget Hollywood productions that are filmed in Australia. So I guess it was realizing that I could still pursue my passion in the industry that I love in another country. And I just needed to look after myself and make sure that I was still okay to do that. And I was in Australia, but it was a big step because you go from the land of everyone's in that industry and the film industry and all of that to a smaller market, but it's still a market. Just like how, like when I was younger, there was no 284 media. I'm so excited about you guys because when I was younger, you guys weren't around. Like it wasn't a thing. And so, like, again, it's a smaller market, but you guys are making it happen, and you're making career opportunities for people in the acting, journalism, entertainment business. It's so fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much for that plug. Yes, we do have a role in terms of, you know, showcasing people like yourself and also inspire the next generation to achieve some of, you know, what you would have at least shown them that is possible. So, you know, we do play a role too in inspiring the youth, and that is also through persons
A
like
much
yourself as well. So thank you
a,
for that plug.
such good role. My hats are off to you guys, and I'm such a supporter.
And since we are speaking a little bit about the BVI, I want to ask, you know, in terms of how did your upbringing in the Virgin Islands help to shape your perspective and approach to your craft of acting?
Oh, well, I mean, growing up in BVI, I had a different life to other people in the sense that I lived in BVI until I was about 6. And then I went to boarding school in England from the age of 6. So I spent most of my schooling overseas. And I would come home to BVI every holiday. So about 3 times a year, I would come home during school holidays, and I would see all of my family. So at boarding school, it was just me. There was no one around. And so it was only when I got home I would see my family. And so I guess being home, it allowed me to have connections to my family and to where I identify as my home because everyone's from BVI. And I was born in Peebles Hospital before it was, the Dr. Smith Hospital. Um, and and yeah, so I guess home is always where the heart is. And I haven't had an opportunity to play Actually, I have. One of my first TV gigs, they asked me to put on a Caribbean accent, the generic Caribbean accent, and I was playing a prisoner. Go figure. Um, and it was a small role in this show about this drug mule. It was quite interesting. Long time ago now. But apart from that, I really haven't had the opportunity to to play me. You're always playing characters, aren't you? So I guess you take bits of your life and your experience from there. I'm currently in a show at Le Boite Theatre, and it's called Closer, and I'm playing a stripper, and I hate to say it, and I don't know if you'll edit this out, but I've been to a strip club multiple times in BVI, so I guess I drew inspiration from that for this role, maybe.
Interesting. I mean, inspiration comes from all walks of life, as we do know. And
Sure
in terms of
does.
now, we're speaking about inspiration and obviously your journey so far. I want to ask on what it was like working on the set of Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire, and how does it feel to be a part of such a massive blockbuster?
Yeah, look, as an actor, you're constantly auditioning for jobs. And I remember, like, I'm doing a theater show right now, and I'm having to audition for a job, a TV show, and I have to learn my lines and film it tomorrow. But I remember for Godzilla and Kong, it was like a couple of years ago now. It was filmed during COVID, and I had to do one line only in my audition. It was like a tape that I had to send in to casting. And I didn't know what project it was because it was super confidential at the time. So I did my one line various different ways because it's one line. So there's only so many ways you can say the line. I don't even remember what the line is. I'm so sorry. Otherwise I'd tell you. But I'm sure it was something like, oh my gosh, there's something over there. Like it wasn't Godzilla or Kong because that would have given the film away. And so I auditioned, I sent it off, and then months later, I think I actually was home in BVI, and I was with my family, and I think I was with my grandmother for her birthday, and I heard from my agent that I'd booked a job, and I was like, what job? I don't even remember what it was. And so it was Kong and Godzilla. And I was like, oh, cool, great. And I booked a job, like this role on it. And it was funny because it was during COVID. So you had to do like your COVID test before you arrived on set. And I remember getting a COVID test, and my test said weak positive. And me and my agent were like, what does weak positive mean? Is it positive? Is it negative? Does that mean like I'll lose the job? And so production were like, do another PCR test to check whether you've got COVID. And I did another one, and I was negative. And then they called and they were like, oh, we've given your role away. And I was like, oh my God, you've given my role away. And they were like, don't worry, we'll give you a different role on the job. And I was like, okay. So I filmed a different week later or something, and the character that I played was different to the character that I ended up playing, and I got more lines and more scenes, and so it actually worked out
So it was
brilliantly
a
that I
blessing,
got this
basically.
other. It was a blessing, but at the time it did not seem like a blessing. I was like, oh my gosh.
Because I'm
I was very upset.
Because I'm sure you probably were terrified when you first heard the news of, you lost the role. And that question I was going to ask you before you would have just answered it in terms of, in retrospect, looking back at that initial role, now the movie is over. Well, as you did mention just now, this new role that you would have gotten thanks to your weak positive COVID-19 result would have at least given you more screen time and, got your character out there a little bit more than
Yeah.
the previous one. So that in itself is a win-win situation for yourself.
Yeah. The previous character, my character died. So this one I live. Spoiler alert. So
Yeah, because I was going to tell you to tell me a little
it
bit
was
about your character in the film.
well, I am tracking Godzilla. So I'm one of the technical people, I guess, who are tracking Godzilla. Um, and yeah, that's about it. But it's fun because you track him throughout the movie, so it was great. I mean, I didn't get to meet Godzilla, sadly, but he was on my screen because I was tracking him.
Yeah. And I want to ask you because I know you said during the audition it was mainly one line that you would have done multiple variants of the line. How did you prepare for the role after you would have gotten the role and you got your lines and stuff? Just walk us through that process and how long did it take, in terms of the filming process and getting everything over with.
Well, I remember when I got my new character, I was sitting on a plane and I was like, oh, what is my new character? Because I was on the plane kind of flicking through this very confidential script, trying to make sure no one's watching it while I like look at this document. And I was like, oh, I'm in this scene, and oh, I'm in another scene, and oh, I'm in another scene, and oh, I'm in another scene. So I was like, yay. But of course, you never know. Like, you can still film the job and then be cut out of the movie. But because I was in it so much, I was like, I don't think I'll be cut out of all of these scenes. At least I'll make one scene, having low expectations so that I was pleasantly surprised at the end rather than being disappointed. That's how I manage my my career. But I do remember getting on set as well. And when you're on set, like, things can change and stuff. But when I was on set, there were a couple of other scenes that they were like, "Oh, you're here, Sophia. So why don't you just?" There's a moment. I don't know if everyone's seen it, but there's a moment where Godzilla's meant to have done something. I've forgotten what he does. Sorry. And then there's three of us on the screen, and we're like, "Oh!" And that wasn't written in the script. That was just the director kind of going, oh, you're here, let's get you guys together and like do this. And then that kind of made the movie, which was kind of cool. So
Yeah.
think you have to roll with the punches at the same time, but preparing for it, of course, like, you've done classes and acting classes and workshops, um and you've got, like, I had a great castmates around me. So, and the atmosphere is going, and there's extras, and there's like some firework stuff, and there's computer screens, so you really just trying to absorb it all while you're doing this character.
Interesting, because you just mentioned the improv moment, and we do know a lot of times these improv moments actually make the movie what it was, or what it is, or what it's remembered to be. So, in addition to that, I may not, or this may be, it goes into my next question. Basically, what were some of the most memorable moments, and also too, I want you to speak about some of the challenges you would have faced while filming the movie as well.
I mean, I think the challenge was possibly not getting the job and then getting the job. That was probably the biggest challenge. And then when you were there to try and be present in the moment, knowing the history of, did they want me? Did they not want me? Like, what's happened behind the scenes, and just being professional on set, because you never know. And I remember after I filmed, one of the producers came up to me and he was like, thank you so much. It was really great working with you. And sorry about like all of the stuff with the character and stuff like that. And it was lovely, like, to have that from one of the producers of the film. So I think, like, being professional is super important always in what you're doing. But that was probably the challenge, working on the job. But it wasn't a challenging job. It was fun. Like, it was really fun.
So, and my next question now is, how does it feel, know that the movie is done, is out there? I believe in the first 2 weeks, it has acquired more than over $300 million in sales so far. How does it feel to represent the BVI on a global stage through your work in the film industry?
Um, Look, I don't think about it until someone points it out, I think, you know. I'm very happy to do my small part to represent the BVI as best as I can in everything that I do. We're a small island, there's not too many of us, and I think the percentage of us, like everyone's doing amazing things, but the percentage of us that are out there doing stuff as well, you know, a lot of us are doing things that haven't been done before. So we're kind of, it's just, you know, I know that you've interviewed Sheldon before. He's a good friend of mine. Whenever I'm in LA, we catch up. He's another actor. Um, and so I think, you know, I don't think about it too much until someone points it out. But when they do point it out, I'm really chuffed. I want the BVI to be proud because I'm proud of the BVI. I love it. It's my home. It's where all my family are.
Excellent. And beyond Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire, what other projects are you currently working on or you have in the pipeline? I know you would have mentioned you have an audition tomorrow, as well as you would have just
Sure.
came from doing a play as well. So just speak on some of the other stuff that other projects that you have that you're presently working on or soon to come.
Yeah, I'm doing this play at the moment. It's a classic. It's a British play by a writer called Patrick Marber. It's called Closer. It was written in the 90s, and then they kind of made it into a movie starring Julia Roberts, Natalie Portman, Jude Law, and Clive Owen. So it's a four-hander. And I'm currently doing that until the 20th of April. So every night I do that play. Um, and then apart from that, auditions all the time for projects. And I'm working on with a production company right now. I'm trying to option the rights for a book to make it into a TV series. So I'm busy negotiating those types of deals and trying to get that off the ground, which hopefully will happen. But yeah, things are moving with that. And I think there's a TV show that I was in, and they're doing a season 2 of it. So that films, I think, in June. So I'll probably be working in June on that TV show. Um, so yeah, a few exciting projects. But I will be coming home to BVI in between projects and to see my family and stuff. And at the moment, I have pink hair because of my theater show. I don't normally have pink hair, but
Okay.
once the show's done, it'll go back to being my normal color.
Okay. And are there any particular directors or actors you dream of collaborating with in the future?
Yeah, as an actor, I'd love to work with Octavia Spencer. I just love her. I also love Viola Davis. I love Jessica Chastain. Um, oh my gosh. Yeah, they're the three that I can think of right now. In terms of directors, oh, I don't know. I'd love to do a Julian Fellows kind of TV show. That would be fun. Or even Shonda Rhimes. I would love to do like period piece stuff, like Pride and Prejudice, because I'm a hopeless romantic and I love that. But yeah, I mean, the world's your oyster. So whatever, whatever is opportunities are presented, I think I'm just ready to go for them. I just want to do the best that I can and work with as many people as I can work with.
Okay, nice. And what do you hope to achieve in your career moving forward, both professionally and personally as well?
I think professionally, I want to keep challenging myself and finding roles that are difficult because they make you dig deep, but also rewarding because the audience needs to hear or be told that or reminded about that lesson. So I think those types of roles interest me. And in terms of personally, I don't know, but just normal ones, like to be happy and spend as much time with your family as you can. Yeah, it's simple goals. Being able to read, have a cup of tea, and be content with life, but also make strides in your career and be fulfilled career-wise.
Okay. And lastly, what advice would you give to aspiring actors and filmmakers from the British Virgin Islands or other small island communities?
Oh, wow. Acting is such a difficult profession, but if you're passionate about it, don't give up. Make your own work. And I say that because, like, for example, 284 Media, you guys have created something that wasn't there before. You know, if you don't have opportunities, make them. Make short films, make music videos, make mini TV shows, put it on YouTube or put it on Vimeo, or just have a go and get out there. And then if you're really serious about the craft, I would go and study. So I would study, either in England, Europe, or America, and learn what it takes to do the work. And then the next step, of course, is finding an agent. And then that's difficult. But again, putting yourself out there and trying to, getting photos of yourself, headshots, and just be professional, I think. I think people forget that nowadays everything is so transparent and visible, and Instagram even, or social media, is a little bit of a brand itself. So if you're really wanting to become a professional actor and you've got inappropriate things on social media, you're not helping producers decide to pick you for the next job. So think about you as a brand, because you're really selling yourself and why you should be cast in whatever you get cast in. So I think starting thinking like that as a professional um, is is sensible too. But volunteer your time and start filming yourself as well.
So, in essence, as you would have said, for the young Virgin Islanders and those other persons within the Caribbean who may be watching this, is very important. You are your brand, you are your own brand, so ensure that your social media pages, have the necessary content to more so elevate you than to stop you or from advancing where you need to go. And also too, I just want you to speak briefly before you go, as it relates, how important is it to ensure that you have an agent of a certain caliber to get you the opportunities needed?
You definitely need to have an agent. At the start of your career, probably won't be a very big agent unless you're lucky and brilliant. My career, I didn't have like a very massive agent. And then as I got more work and I changed agent, like I got a next level up kind of agent, and I have a US manager and those types of things. But at the start of your career, you're just trying to get your foot in the door. But it's important to get representation, because your agent or your manager is the one that receives the briefs for the TV shows or the movies or the theater shows. And they might say, for example, we want a female between 18 to 25 to play a nurse in a TV show starting next week. Then your agent will get that and then send it out and say, hey, I'd like Sophia to audition for this. Will you accept? And then they'll say, yeah, okay, we'll see Sophia's audition. So, you need you need to have an agent to represent you and to get those briefs for you. So it's important to get that representation. But at the start of your career, you probably won't get the agent that you want, generally speaking. Like, it's like everything in life. You start flipping burgers before you become the owner of the restaurant. Like, you got to start somewhere. And I think for anyone interested, you start somewhere. Like, start by filming yourself, start by doing monologues, start by recording scenes and those types of things, and maybe studying, and then you try and get an agent, and then you start auditioning, and you keep working on the craft. Like, the other day I did a workshop for 4 weeks. So, like, I'm still working. I'm still not where I want to be. There's still loads of bridges to cross and mountains to climb, but you keep going, and you don't give up. And hopefully you have really strong supportive family and friends around you to rally around you and believe in you, um and don't take no for an answer.
Okay, it's really great advice. Sophia, I first want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, as I'm sure it's now after midnight over there in Australia where you are, and you would have ensured to keep the BVI public abreast as it pertains to, what's going on with you. So we really do appreciate your time. And I want to say this now, whenever next you are in the BVI, we must connect so that we can do a sit down in person to also update, the BVI public on some of the latest projects that you would have done since this interview.
I would love that. That sounds like a great idea.
Okay, well, thank you once more again, viewers. BVI born actress Sophia Emberson-Bain, who would have recently featured in the Godzilla X Kong, the New Empire movie, would have grossed over $300 million so far, and is available right here in the territory at UP's Cineplex for those of you who are interested in viewing it and seeing our very own actress star in her role, as she would have mentioned just now during the interview, of tracking Godzilla throughout the movie, Kong through the movie. So viewers, you don't want to miss it. And thank you again, Sophie, for your time. Until next time, I'm Kamal Haynes. Bye-bye.